The WYcast is made possible by people going on the ExP homepage, www.exp.uk, and buying my albums on vinyl and CD and getting merch as well. So big thanks to everyone who has. And if you enjoy these podcasts, please consider helping out by going and buying some. Hello, and welcome to the second series of the WYcast. I'm ExP, a hip-hop musician based in West Yorkshire, WY. I made a decision in the last year or so that I should invest time in helping promote and support the West Yorkshire hip-hop scene that I know and love so well. A scene which has supported my involvement in music for over 2 decades. Yes, I am that old. Last season I spoke about my wish to talk to those involved in hip-hop in West Yorkshire, and I said I'd expand my search out to soul and jazz as well, but a spreadsheet I've inevitably put together puts the number of active MCs and producers in West Yorkshire at approximately 200, and I'm finding out about new people every week. Therefore, at this rate, this will probably be a West Yorkshire hip-hop specific podcast for at least the next 7 years? If you're an active and involved West Yorkshire hip-hop artist, I will want to speak to you at some point and find out what it's all about for you. There's not much method to who I choose to get on, but I insist on doing these outside, so there's West Yorkshire scenery in the background where possible. And the weather has absolutely trolled me in a lot of cases. I'm meeting people I have a lot of history with and people I barely know, all with the intention of connecting WY hip-hop artists and giving you, the listener, a chance to know the people behind the great music they make. And on this episode of the WYcast, it's DJ Agent M. If you're from WY and you're listening to this, you don't need an introduction. But for the rest of you, he is a super producer, the beating heart of West Yorkshire. He's worked with so many people, and he's just such a positive, nice guy. We have a really nice chat here about all sorts of stuff, but he's got a lot of cool little tidbits, bits of information, stuff that is well worth heeding and paying attention to, because he's done a really nice job of kind of carving out a niche outside of West Yorkshire and beyond internationally. And, you know, one of his songs has had like 3 million plays and that. So, you know, listen to the guy. DJ Agent M.
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you, man? How you feeling?
I'm all right, thanks. I'm all right.
Thanks for joining me in bird poo.
Yeah, I know.
in bird poo.
I'm not a germaphobe, but you know what I mean?
In Leeds, man. I really appreciate you coming through, man. I was trying to think about like how to define who you are as a... Oh, that's good timing.
Exactly.
Trying to define you as like...
West Yorkshire.
Where you're at in terms of like West Yorkshire, and I feel like you're the beating heart, I would say, producer-wise, of everything that goes around in West Yorkshire. And I feel like there isn't really a rapper I don't know who hasn't worked with you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly, man. First time I ever heard of you was, I feel like it was about 07, maybe earlier. You were doing some stuff with Marcus Lee, The Gift.
Oh, yeah, shout out my man.
Yeah, man.
Marcus,
what year was
man.
that? Do you remember?
Oh.
Must have been 07 or something.
I think it was, yeah, in fact, yeah. We might have started a bit earlier than
Even
that.
Even earlier than that?
Maybe a bit earlier than that.
So
yeah.
Here we go then, origin story. What's your birth year?
Oh, can we? I can't say. Yeah.
You can't say. You're the first one to not say it on a podcast. I'm 85. Are you earlier than me or later?
I'm earlier.
You're younger than me. You're younger than me.
I'm older than you.
You're older than me. Okay, we'll leave it. Fine. So where does... Oh, man, but then I need to ask where it started. And can you tell me that? Or is that giving me too much information?
No, that's fine. Wow. As far as like my love for hip-hop goes, I think De La Soul.
Yeah?
I think between De La Soul, FIFA High Rising.
Yeah, classic.
But even before that, my brother was getting into house, so we had this like hip house tape.
Nice.
And Jungle Brothers.
Yeah.
Our house he was on, and that used to be my favourite. So
what age was this? I'm gonna do the math.
Yeah, no, this is the well,
late 80s.
Can't be the late.
Oh yeah, 3 Feet High and Rising was 89. Were it?
89, yeah. So I think this hip house one was probably about maybe 88 or same time. Yeah.
Nice.
So it's kind of like hip hop was there, but when you're a kid, like you just listen to whatever's being played really in it. Yeah. So like I'm not really gonna. Well, obviously there'd be like Kylie and Jason and stuff.
Yeah. Man, you're not that much older than me because I were there for that time as well. Definitely.
Madness. But yeah, and then it was West Indian Carnival. I remember like just being a kid, just like sound systems all over the place.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Welcome to the Terrordome was blasting out.
Public Enemy.
Yeah, Public Enemy.
And
it was literally,
Oh, man.
I literally just like a little kid with all these kids just like dancing around and stuff like that. And it was literally after that. that's when my love for hip hop came in. So Pete Tong, imagine.
Yeah.
Before
the dance producer.
Yeah. Pete Tong had the rap selection.
Oh, right.
So I remember I had the tape. I taped the rap selection, and it was just like "You Must Learn" by KRS-One, "Overweight Lover" Heavy D.
Right.
And there was a few others. They were all like playing. I still got the tape now, and it was literally just like, I think at high school it got to a point where like I knew every act that was coming out.
Nice.
I was the person to kind of know.
You were the go-to
like,
guy in school.
Yeah, because
nice.
I just like research, just listen to everybody, try to find out as much as you can, because obviously there's no social media and stuff.
Word. So you were, because it was 1963. You were a connoisseur of hip hop before you were like a producer or anything.
Yeah.
When did that flip go into, like, when did you go from listening to making, and what caused that?
Oh, right, yeah. So, shout out to my homeboy Julian, JJ Bance.
My name rings a bell.
Yeah. We were like school buddies. He lived in the other street. Basically, we got onto, and this is the thing, because me and GQ have like talked about this and stuff, and I remember GQ putting a word in to get us onto radio. Me and JJ Bance.
Get what on radio?
Pirate Radio, to get onto DJ at Pirate Radio.
Oh, so
we
DJing,
yeah,
right.
So we started at school youth club.
Right, yeah.
And then basically what happened was we started DJing on there, learning how to DJ.
Yep.
And then I remember we did house party with his mum and dad, classical like teenage house party with his mum and dad, like went out and stuff.
Yep.
And then he had like this Amstrad like tape deck. So it's kind of like a 4-track tape deck, so you can do the whole like pause tape. He learned how to do pause tapes.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to do pause tapes as well.
Yeah.
So it started from there, and then
You calling that a pause tape?
Pause tape.
What's a pause tape?
So basically, a pause tape it's kind of like we have looping now.
Yeah.
So basically, you find like a little break or whatever.
Like an A/B point.
Yeah.
almost.
So you've got 2 tape decks. So you're playing on one tape deck and you're recording on the other. So you play a little bit of like start and end of a loop point.
Yeah.
You pause it, and then you go rewind the tape back to that loop point, and then you're recording it again. So you're trying to loop the same little break.
Yeah.
For as long as possible. He had it sewn down, I didn't have it sewn down and stuff like that. So it's a little bit off. But from there, my brother had a guitar.
Yeah.
And we had this it was an Amiga. No, it was an Atari like home computer.
Yep.
And there was this sampling like 4-track sampling program thing.
Right.
And it was literally just like, so basically, no, in fact, it was a drum machine. So you had to type in this program to make this drum machine.
Yeah.
And then I had a tape deck. So basically, I would record the drums, and then I would record me trying to play on guitar
over it.
And it was literally just like terrible guitar.
Yeah.
But it was a start.
But that was your first ever beat, effectively, on an Amiga.
Yeah.
So drums that you'd sampled from doing this from these pause tapes.
Oh no!
Oh no! So drums that you'd programmed into the computer,
drum machine,
and then playing guitar over that.
Yeah.
Man,
and then from there, everybody like that I knew that was doing it properly were basically using like Ataris to do the sequencing and getting like obviously an Atari, not an Atari, like an Akai sampler.
Yeah.
That was like the high tech stuff.
Yeah.
Basically, I found out that if you buy the Amiga 600 or whatever, you can spend like your pocket money, 30, 50 quid or whatever, get a sampler.
Yeah.
So I went from the Atari to the Amiga, and then there was this thing called Pro Tracker. So basically, I just started sampling from there.
Right.
So I started sampling for them and programming drum beats.
So you had a and as I understand it, so you started out as a DJ, really. So you were the connoisseur of hip hop. Were you collecting records and such like, or were you just getting CDs and tapes?
Yeah. So it was records. It was records back then.
Nice.
And you were kind of, because you're a kid, you kind of listening to like the rap collection or whatever.
Yeah.
And then trying to grab as many like songs as you could.
Yeah.
So obviously, I think for me, when it comes to like consuming music, it was always about like how much can you get for your money, basically. So if you think singles, like most albums, so most albums will probably have 3 singles.
Yeah.
So it made sense. Buy the album and see how many worthy songs were on there.
Yeah.
And then if the single came out, it was all about if it had a remix or instrumentals or anything like that.
I get you,
So it's basically just like, if an album only had 1 single, you had to think to yourself,
is it worth it?
Is it worth it? Yeah. If it's only got like 1 thing that you could play on the radio or like play out.
And that's what you had to consider that, because it's like, well, I've got this radio show now.
Yeah.
And that was pirate radio round your way, was
People's
it?
FM, yeah.
Is that still going? Because I definitely used to
it's Fresh FM now, yeah. It's Fresh FM,
okay.
so yeah.
I definitely used to drive. First time I ever passed my driving test and then got a job driving a van, I did a lot of work up in Chapeltown way, and you could get People's FM, and it was so sick. There was such good music playing through there, often reggae, but it was just absolutely dope, man.
Yeah, and it's just one of those, like, luckily, like, it get raided from time to time. So if you think,
really?
I was just a kid, like, in somebody's flat, and then, like, you know, people, it was just like an open door. People could just come straight in.
Wander and get stuff.
So you used to have like, this is like people that I know now, like Depths, GQ, like few other
Bravo
people.
shouted out Depps on the podcast we've just done,
Depps,
because he said he was like one of the OGs who was like showing everyone stuff and on the pirate radios and stuff.
Yeah. So it's just basically just people who just basically come through. We used to have like freestyle ciphers and everything.
Nice.
But yeah, you did hear stories of like the place getting raided, and like obviously like police just taking like everybody's equipment and records and everything.
Oh, mate, I was thinking that people were coming and stealing stuff. You're talking about the police just taking stuff.
Yeah.
It's the classic pirate radio shutdown problem. That was not so much an issue anymore with the fact that you can start a radio station anywhere but it was such a pain in the ass at the time.
But they're humble beginnings, so.
Well, okay, so first beats, programming on an Amiga and playing a bit of guitar, and then beyond that, where does it start getting a bit more developed, and do you start getting rappers over it, or are you rapping over it yourself?
Oh, this is the thing, because I think I'm trying to pinpoint at this point. I would definitely say at this point, this is where I met up with Monks.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
King
it was a cool story.
Yeah,
King Monks. Yeah, shout out to Monks. Basically, I remember skipping, and I was a good boy, but I remember skipping like school for like the first time to go see the Dream Warriors.
Nice.
So they were in town.
Yep.
Skipped school, went down into town, and it was literally just like everybody, like, it was in, I think it was Virgin Records. People were just like just walking straight past them, didn't know anybody, and it was literally just this white guy with like really cool like hair, with all this like hip hop baggy clothes and everything. And basically we just came over. It was just like I can't. Monks was basically just saying like, I can't believe like nobody's like
come through for these guys.
Come through, exactly. Yeah, it's literally just like walking past as if it's nobody.
It's the story of hip hop. A bit in the UK anyway.
Yeah, so I remember we were just talking and we went over to talk to like the Dream Warriors. And I remember I gave him a Ninja Turtle badge, and he said, "Oh, next time I'm in an interview, like you can, you know, I'll wear it in an interview."
Wow.
I literally like gave us tickets to like their show in Bradford, but
amazing.
I couldn't make it because I was a kid. But Monks
skip out of school twice.
Yeah. But Monks made it over. But then he said he'd seen that these guys were Wallet. But that was like me and Monks. That was our connection basically to like a whole new world of like people from the other side of Leeds.
Yeah, he made it his business to know everyone as well. Really connect everyone together, man.
Yeah, so it was literally just like, I guess. So I introduced like JJ Julian to like Monks, and it was kind of that connection. So we went over to Armley, like recorded like, you know, like just like a demo
over your beats. Is this?
No, it was just like some beats that were like just around. I think it was like a beat tape or something.
And what,
like
you
that,
spitting, or were you just there for the
I was
there
spitting
for the
at
session?
that time, yeah.
You were spitting, no way.
Yeah.
So you started out rapping the same sort of time you started out producing as well, yeah?
Yeah, I was writing and stuff, but we were kids back then, so it was
right.
Well,
interesting.
Yeah, everybody wanted to be a rapper kind of a thing. So. But it was cool. Like, I mean, even through then, it was just like Monks. Like, fast forward later on a little bit, like when it became the Invisible Circle.
Yeah.
this is the thing about hip hop. Really, it was like everybody had to find their own what do we call it? Like part of hip hop.
Yep.
So literally like the DJing and the MC. Well, I wanted to be an MC, but you know, it was just that thing of just being real with each other and saying, look, like your strongest element is the DJing and the production side.
Someone
of
said
things.
that to you. Someone
that
took
was
you
monks,
aside.
but that's what I mean. Like, you know, when you're young, sometimes you have an echo chamber. Everybody's
of
just
course,
bigging you up and
yeah,
stuff like that. But the whole point of like hip hop is about props and like. And basically, like, there's a lot of competition elements in part of hip hop. That's the history of hip hop. So you know, you got like your rhyme battles, you got your DJ like battles, you got your b-boy battles. Exactly, yeah. Because that's how you kept peace within the community. Yeah. It was a way of getting people out of gangs. And basically saying, right, okay, well, your crew battle my crew, but we're battling like, you know, like the breaking.
Yeah, we're using the culture to
exactly.
put it aside. It's more of a sport then, isn't it?
So the whole thing of like being whack, if you had whack lyrics, if you weren't like good enough, you either come better or you find a different element where you're stronger in.
I see.
And that was the whole thing of being real. So So that I really appreciate. Do you know what I mean? And it's something that's missed.
Many wouldn't
like now. But yeah, so basically, at that point, that's when I started to make beats, and I think that was the first thing that I recorded. But I was I guess producing stuff for JJ.
Yep.
And at some point, I guess that's where I met Tommy as well. Tommy Evans.
Oh, of course, right.
Because Tommy Evans and Monks, I think they created Junkyard Tactics.
Right, of course.
But then that's when I was introduced to Tommy, and then I was writing for Tommy. I was making beats for Tommy.
Yep.
And Tommy was bringing through, which he always does. He was bringing through like other MCs.
Yeah,
and stuff.
And Tommy was like pretty big in the game at that sort of time, if I'm not mistaken. Early, you know, he's working with a lot of the other heavyweights in UK hip hop at the time, right?
At this point, it was still in Leeds because Jest became part of that as well.
No way.
This whole thing that we were trying to create.
Right. So
it was like that point. It was just like giving Jess the beat tape as well.
Yeah.
And just basically just like making beats for people. The problem was, like, I can make my stuff on my computer, but it'd stay on the computer because
you couldn't have got an output for us, man.
No, exactly, because it was literally you had to have a studio to be able to record it. Back in the days of like DAT tapes and everything else.
So you'd have had to take your whole computer system to a studio. Would that have worked? Or,
But then the problem was, how do you get it from like an Amiga, computer and sampler, on a floppy disk to like an Akai, like sampler and whatever else they're doing on there? It was literally like people just looking at it and being like, "I listened to the tape and saying, yeah, that's cool," and then that was it. Yeah. So that was my problem. But obviously, like people like Tommy, people like Jess, when they moved down to London, they had access to everything.
All
really.
that stuff. Yeah.
So then it was kind of like, it's always been like DJing on this side, production on this side, and flipping between both. So you go through like a spell of like 6 months or whatever, just DJing all over the place.
Yeah.
And then you spend another time just like making beats, but it's not really going anywhere because we're in a time when CDs are coming through. Yep. But how do you make a CD to put out? So it's still about tapes, but nobody's buying tapes. It's all about like getting your stuff on vinyl, and it's just like
woof. That's another thing altogether.
That
vinyl were kind of dying around that era, as I remember. Because everything was getting smaller, and you know, mini discs and stuff like that were coming out. So.
Yeah, I mean, it was still there. It was still there because record labels were still pushing it.
Fair.
But from a DIY perspective, you need to be like. You need to be like making about $1,000 or whatever, just to be able to push stuff out. And it's
fully. Yeah. So you've always had this kind of DJ or producer balance in your head. Yeah. So what do you feel? Where in your hearts? Where you're a producer now? You would say? Would you say? I know you.
It's that thing of DJ producer. It's that thing now where I say DJ producer.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So the best thing about it is, I mean, obviously I've got one of my beat machines in here.
The Akai Fire.
Yeah. Who would I say now? I mean, part of it was when I went to study like music business, it was kind of trying to figure out like, who are you? What's your brand? What's your niche? Kind of a thing. And I remember seeing Jazz T.
Oh, yeah.
I remember seeing Jazz T come up with Jest. And I remember studying him. and being like, right, this whole thing of two turntables and a microphone, the DJ running the show for the MCs, and like being part of that thing, and it's starting to click because you see Maceo like chiming in, Maceo from De La Soul, chiming in with like the lyrics and stuff, being part of that whole like show kind of a thing. You're not just there pressing stop and start or whatever. You're part of that whole thing. So you're there with the ad libs. You know, you might be warming up the crowds. You know,
proper
you might,
DJ stuff.
You might be even dropping a verse or whatever and stuff like that. And it's kind of like, right, as a producer, you can either give your backing track to an engineer and stand by the side while the MC is doing something, or you could be part of that whole thing. So when it came to creating the Uncanny EP, so that had Marcus on it, it had Tommy. Tommy,
is that one of your first EPs?
Yeah.
Uncanny EP is like where you put your foot down. And
Yeah. So basically, it was just like you had Tommy from BTI. You had Daddy Speedo, shout out Daddy Speedo. Jay Bravo.
Nice. Is
that
available?
Marcus.
Is it available at the Uncanny EP?
Yeah, it was on Bandcamp.
It's still there, is it?
Yeah, check out DJ JM on Bandcamp.
What year is that?
In fact, is it on Bandcamp? It's not, it's on streaming.
It's on streaming.
But I will put it out on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
By the end of this year,
that's a piece of WY history, man. What year did that come out? I'm trying to think of even though I don't know when you started, so.
That was 2016? 2016.
Oh, damn. So it was ages before you really sort of put your foot in the sand and were like, this is happening. This is
the thing, because I tell you what, basically, from when Tommy Evans, there's a bit where I guess Tommy Evans just went down to London. And they started blowing up. Why Now Records and stuff like that. Yeah. It was kind of at that point, it was just like, right, let's just make sure you get a proper job, you know what I mean, earn money.
Had to prioritise that.
Prioritise, like, grow up and be like, you can't be a wannabe rapper, wannabe DJ anymore. Like, wannabe producer. Still doing my DJing stuff. Still making music here and there or whatever. But it was a point where I broke my ankle. So basically, it was kind of like, if anybody's like broken the ankle or anything like that, it's a nightmare getting upstairs, downstairs and stuff. So it was literally just like, I remember being on the couch and being like, if I'm on the couch, I'm here for like 8 hours flat. So I'm either on the couch downstairs or I'm upstairs. And it was the only thing I could do was make beats off my laptop.
I love this.
So it's literally just like, it was one of those things where it's like, I got the hunger to make beats again.
Nice.
I like proper put everything into it.
What did you have on a laptop then, or did you have to download some stuff on that?
GarageBand. It was GarageBand.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I remember it was because you can get Complete from Native Instruments. And I think it was like Complete Elements 7.
Right.
I remember I got on crutches, went all the way down the road, and it felt like I was like walking for like a mile, and it was only like a few yards. I went all the way down with like some vouchers or whatever to buy Complete 7 Elements, and then from there I got like Complete 7, the full thing.
Right.
And then I think
this is part of GarageBand, the Complete thing, or it's a Native Instruments thing?
Native Instruments, yeah.
But it's it's a software for
producing. So basically it's just like you got virtual instruments on there, so you got like virtual like horns and keyboards.
Yeah.
Because I think at that point I didn't want to use samples, but then I got Machine. I think I got a Machine about a year later. And then that was it. I was back to samples, like making beats, band.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's when the hunger came back. That's like, it was just like all or nothing. Like, I'm gonna make something of it. And
that led up to the Uncanny EP. Then that work on the Machine. And such.
So then, I think at one point, because there was basically Ty from London, rest in peace, Ty.
Yeah.
He had a Facebook group called the Beating.
I believe Obi Joe was a regular.
Yeah. Nick Nack was on that as well.
Oh,
yeah.
Nick Nack, nice.
So it's basically like I made a few friends. On there, I was submitting like my beats like every week, and it's kind of like I always say, like it's like you training with like Messi, Ronaldo, like Ronaldinho kind of a thing, because like in your own echo chamber, you think, oh yeah, I can make this beat, I can make that beat, but then when you like with these guys, like you start to having to like study like what makes these guys so good, because you think your beats are good, but then these guys consistently are putting out like beats, like submitting beats, but then they're getting played on radio, like Giles Peterson's played the stuff or whatever.
Whoa,
like, what the heck? Kate Trinada was in that group.
Mad, right.
Tall Black Guy, shout out Tall Black Guy.
He was in that group.
Yeah. Daniel Crawford as well.
Wow, what an amazing group.
Yeah, so it was amazing. So at that point, it was kind of like starting to learn like how to consistently make beats, like, and the fact that like Ty was like one of the first people to kind of put my music, play my music out on the radio and stuff like that.
Nice, that's so sick. I never knew that.
It made a big like confidence boost to have somebody that actually vouched for you.
The guy was huge in the UK hip hop game, man, and sort of almost seemed to travel. Like there was the community groups of UK hip hop, but I always felt like Ty was just doing his thing and like mad respected by everyone for it as well. Like
because he championed like UK hip hop and stuff. And I think one of my big things at the moment is the fact that I think psychologically sometimes we forget that UK hip hop as what we do is actually hip hop. It's kind of like saying you've got like rappers and then you've got female rappers. Because sometimes we're just like, oh, Rhapsody's my favourite female rapper, instead of saying Rhapsody's up there. Yeah, she's one of my favourite rappers.
I'm as much to blame as that, because I'll be like, there's no rappers in West Yorkshire, no female rappers in West Yorkshire, and it's like, well, it's not about that.
Yeah, well, he was the first person to be like, it's always like pick your top 5 rappers or whatever and hip hop groups or whatever, and it was just like, this is getting stale kind of a thing, like,
I agree with that.
Why we're not talking about our own rappers within. And I remember I did that once. Remember Clubhouse? There was just some guys talking about like, the best albums from that year and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember I was just like, I think Children of Zeus dropped an album, Juggernaut dropped an album, and I was like, I put them in my top 5. Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember Jay Bravo dropped a banger as well, and it was literally just like, everybody else was talking about like what Nas was doing and like everybody else, and it was just like, as soon as I said Children of Zeus and then Juggernaut, everybody was like, oh right, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that one there.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's like putting music out and stuff like that. It's like us, for what we do as UK, we're fighting with grime and trap and drill, and it's literally just like, they're all brilliant, and it's nothing to do with the MCs or anything like that. No. It's the people that put that control the playlists.
Yeah, of course. There's very few people in that position as well.
Yeah. They slap everything in together. Yep. So even like somebody like a Rodney P would have to be like probably down in the chain of like whoever's in grime or drill or whatever.
I always think about this, like Wu-Tang's most famous song is friggin' Check Out My Gravel Pit. Because it's the one that like charted. And that's the one that's like top, the one that everyone will be listening to if they're just basic with it. But like actually what Wu-Tang did all this stuff as well. I guess it's a bit like Hollywood versus like English cinema. It's that thing of like, that can just move, and it's such a massive like, behemoth. Like it just takes over and you don't get as much. It's difficult to get light in it. And truth be told, there's a few people in the world who could just say DJ Agent M's the guy, and suddenly you're like getting billions of listens and streams and radio play, and you've not changed your music. It's not that you've put new music out or changed your vibe. It's just because you got put on. And and that's the tricky thing.
And this is why, for me, it's just kind of like championing like UK hip hop, like producers and stuff.
Oh, West Yorkshire.
Because West Yorkshire. Because this is the thing. Like I remember I made like a UK hip hop playlist, and I made like a Leeds and West Yorkshire playlist
Nice.
and stuff. And it's literally just like the more platforms that we have is the best way we're going to do it, because
100%.
once you understand how streaming works, you need to start thinking about like marketing and how you're being marketed. And like, you know, like making sure that, you know, if something happens, like basically making sure that there's an ecosystem here. And because like, I've worked in like folk, I've worked like for like folk festivals and stuff. It's just one of those things, like as a music business graduate and stuff, like being in the music industry, you see a lot. Like,
see how other genres do their thing. Because I always think there seems to be infrastructure for loads of other genres. Like a rock band coming out of Leeds, if they get hot, they can do anything. I'm not so sure that a hip hop. I've seen good hip hop artists rise and kind of go, oh, nothing. No one wants this, and stop.
What if you're a rock group? You've got Key Club.
Yeah.
You've got like a Potter, you've got a few other places, maybe
like
Cockpit if it's
Santiago.
still open. Yeah, exactly, yeah. And then like you got awesome merch. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like, so you got venues.
Yeah.
You've got like e-magazines.
Yeah.
What else have you got? You've got basically infrastructure. You've got your ecosystem there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
There isn't that here. Not as much.
Not for hip.
And
like
things have
hip-hop.
died off a bit. I was talking to Bravo about lyrically certified, which was a kind of put in, you could get a set there, and then that died, and then drop, and you could get a set there, and that's just died, and you're almost like, what does the random 18-year-old rapper who needs a set right now, where do they go for that?
And but it's like big up those places, but they're open genre.
Yeah, true.
Like if you know what I mean, like Key
hip-hop?
Club is an actual, like, that's rock. Do you know what I mean?
Word.
You come up there and it's like you're probably on their radar.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like any indie record labels that are in that genre, you're probably in their radar because they'll probably turn up to these events looking for somebody.
100%.
Hip hop. What have we got? We've got hip hop chip shops. Shout out the hip hop chip shop.
Manchester,
And then you've probably got the chip shop in London.
Yeah, and then Jazz Cafe. There's a good few places in London, isn't there?
But then again,
that's still multi-genre.
Yeah, it's open genre. So like, you know, you've got Hedgerow House, you've got Project House.
Yeah, they're putting some good stuff on.
Like, you know, like you got people like DJ Luby. Do you know what I mean?
Hero.
He'll pick up like, you know what I mean? Exactly, pick up Luby. They'll pick up hip hop acts and stuff.
Defo.
But it's literally just like they're again multi-genre. It's kind of like if you're on their radar, that's all right. But some people that are underground are not.
Yeah.
And it's just like I said, trying to create that ecosystem that you are going to get picked up from somewhere, or even like we're trying to help people out to try and get that platform. So for me, it's kind of like, you know, if Bravo's got like a project and stuff like that, he'll send it to me and I'll pull it out.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's just basically making sure that he's got like a platform, he's got stuff that can come out. And that's the whole thing for me, like as being a producer, just to try and help people out, try to get music out, have a legacy.
Amazing.
Like when I put my own stuff out, it's whether I just want content out or if I want to actually make money out of it kind of thing. So I kind of separate those two.
You were a really hard worker in sort of getting onto streaming playlists, I noticed. Maybe it's dropped off in the last 6 months. I don't know whether it's because you got busy with other stuff or whatever. But there was a period of time maybe in the last year or two, or maybe it was around COVID and like you had no better to do. But you seem to be like pushing your beats and stuff like really hard onto the playlist with, you know, tens of thousands of followers, which is a good way to like, you know, get people listening to your music and making a few quid or what have you. Have you dropped off from doing that as much? Am I just not paying attention? Did I mute you on Instagram?
No. It's literally just like, well, obviously I met an amazing woman.
Yes.
Shout out to my fiance Ruth. We're getting married in about 7 weeks.
Amazing.
So obviously, like by the time you guys see this, we're probably like married already. So a lot of like my focus has just been just building that foundation together. Because like by the time we get married, we'll have moved. I'll have a studio space, like a proper studio space, which is going to be great. So a lot of that is just being like priorities really. But even in that time, like I'm working on an album with Tommy Evans. It's more or less finished, so it's just putting everything together.
That'll be your second with him? Full album with him?
Yeah.
Amazing. What was the reception like to the first one then, man? Like, because when it first dropped, I was like, oh my God, Tommy Evans is rapping again.
It was all right. I mean, it's about momentum. Like now, like the stuff that he's done, like the people that he's worked with. He's just dropped a project with Configure.
Okay,
another one.
Yeah.
So that's doing really well. Like his streaming numbers have gone up.
Nice.
And like, yeah, I think like he's kind of like set is where he should be. As far as like hip hop heritage, UK hip hop heritage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's where it should be.
The stuff he's talking about as well, like always decent, always good content in it. Like.
Yeah, and like, I guess with me and Tommy, we've always had the same kind of ideologies. So he raps stuff that I would be like, yeah, if I was rapping and that's what I'd be putting. So we're on the same wavelength of like as far as like the kind of conscious, positive, like social commentary kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And like even like the artists that he will put on, like the last one, he had like Faisal, who's like smashing it at the moment.
Yeah.
Like he had like poets like Woodsey. Just artists like Nutty P as well. Shout out Nutty P. He introduced these artists to me.
Yeah.
Put them on, and then like like a year later, you're like, oh. That person's on The Voice, or that person's like coming up to Leeds, whatever. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah. So we've gone a bit off topic.
No,
it's cool, man. Yeah.
Well, the original topic was the playlist game.
Yeah, playlist. Yeah. So
on Spotify.
Yeah. So like for me, this is the thing because I champion Spotify for a reason because you champion
Spotify?
I do champion Spotify.
You are one of the few people who would say
there's
that.
a difference between Spotify and Daniel Ek. And Daniel Ek, he can say stuff, and that he's the owner.
Oh, right.
He might say stuff to rile people up. But for me, because I've studied the industry, where it's gone, and I was in that bit, I've been in those different parts of like how the music industry changed from like tapes to vinyl, to CDs, to MP3s, to streaming.
Yep.
Like I remember sending a message to like Tommy and saying, your album, you and like Jess's albums are on this like torrent site or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's like
that's not the one, is it?
No.
That was
but at that time, if people were I was downloading like MP3s because
we were all doing it.
Yeah, it's just to get ahead of everybody.
Spotify seemed to plug that gap, or the streaming services basically plugged the gap where everyone was getting stuff for free, and they were like, "Well, at least this way, someone's making some money somewhere."
Well, this is the thing, and I'll try and break this down. Like, if you're putting music out, you need to at least do your research to know your audience. So I say it like, say for instance you're making lemonade or you're making cupcakes.
Yeah.
How do you price that? As a kid, it's like, oh, look at this cute little kid. That's marketing though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
PR.
you could be the mastermind behind it and have some little kid over
and
there.
I'm not
like
paying him either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's knowing your audience because like when I first put like the Uncanny out,
yep.
I remember it was just like I was telling my cousin like, oh, I got this new album out and stuff like that. She was just like, oh yeah, cool. Yeah, is it on YouTube? I was like, what do you mean it's on YouTube? But she would listen to everything on YouTube,
yep.
And it's like you have to accept, and be realistic about the music and know your audience.
Yep.
And basically, what I learned was I could sell my CDs if. Like after a concert, but also if I did like I remember I had some like art, and basically it was just like it was an art exhibition, and I remember I just brought my CDs just there for like as just a part of marketing of who I am and stuff and how that relates to hip hop because it was a hip hop exhibition.
Yeah,
and people were like, oh, this looks cool. How much is it? It was just like, oh, it's not for sale. This was like, oh, well, I'd like to buy one. And I literally just sell out all these CDs that I just put out. Again, when I was DJing at OK Comics, shout out OK Comics.
Yeah.
That was just like a little fun thing we were doing for like the launch of Luke Cage.
Yeah.
And literally I had some CDs to raffle off.
Yeah.
People were like, oh, well, can I just buy one? I was like, yeah, £5.
Amazing.
Sold out.
Yeah.
And it was literally just these little things where it's just like having the business side of things. If you want to make money out of it, being realistic about it and saying, right, if you press 100 vinyl or 100 CD,
you're gonna sell them.
Are you going to sell them?
Yeah.
Is the market there for them to sell them?
I would say with CDs. So when was that you were selling them CDs? Because I think people are...
Yeah, about 8 years ago. So
okay, that makes more sense because I feel like people are like, CDs. They don't even have a
Exactly,
CD player in a car anymore. Like, so
Yeah.
Vinyl seems like, well, that's the only physical way people go. Maybe tapes, and then otherwise it's like digital only.
There's a niche market with vinyl. That's the thing.
Yeah,
innit?
there is,
But it's be realistic about it. I remember. So obviously I put the Uncanny out, and then it was just basically because I was still in uni and stuff.
Yeah.
It was literally just like you do a marketing plan of that, and like you say what's realistic, how are you gonna like market it, like who's gonna sell it, how many like runs. I did like 50 run, and then gave a few off to the other artists and stuff like that. But I sold out of mine.
Nice.
Streaming was poor.
Yeah.
But like we're saying, we're here now because I put that out, and I made sure it spread as far as possible.
Yeah.
So like obviously you had like blogs were checking it out. You had DJs that were playing it. You know, I was on BBC like radio.
Sick.
And they brought me on a few
One
times.
Extra 6? Which one?
Oh no, sorry, yeah. So it's BBC introducing.
Oh,
stuff.
okay,
So,
yeah, Leeds. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's still
yeah.
dope,
So
though.
yeah, it was
It's a
literally
platform.
just like So it's literally like your name goes around. People are seeing that you're doing stuff.
Yeah.
And it was great. So then I remember, obviously, I was doing Bandcamp. I was putting like beat tapes out on Bandcamp.
Yep.
And I remember I was just like, whatever's on Spotify is going to be different from what's on Bandcamp.
Fair.
So that way, it's you're giving people a choice.
Yeah, you can stream this or you can buy that. Sort of
Yeah,
thing.
but it's different. Yeah, you can do both.
Yeah.
But it's like if you want something to download physical, you go to my Bandcamp.
Yeah.
But if you want to listen to like
Just on the move and
beats or whatever, it's on streaming, but it's two different things. So your boom bap kind of like beat tape culture thing is on my Bandcamp.
Right.
And if it's like, and then if it's like anybody that I'm working with, or it's kind of like this like chill hop or whatever, like
chill hop,
instrumental like hip hop things, that's going on my streaming because you start to understand how people consume your music again.
Yeah.
So this is the thing about it. You could be like, I don't know, the drummer in a rock band, and your band is doing whatever, but then you could be just, I don't know, you could be making meditation music, or you know, you could be doing field recording of rain, and that you could just be streaming that off and making money off that.
Tons.
You could be making happy birthday songs or whatever, Christmas songs or whatever.
Yep.
And that's your income. It's about researching like your market and saying, right, okay, where are they listening to their music?
Nice.
Where are they streaming that music?
And that's the reason you're saying you champion Spotify, because you can utilize it like from a marketing perspective and make your money that way.
Right. This is what I say. Yeah. So basically, my argument will be, because the argument is Spotify don't pay enough artists enough. And if you think of it in this way, in a lens like this way, like, so if you see streaming, like the streaming rates, see that like, and you see like, so basically you've got Tidal, Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer.
A bit.
Yeah, let's just say that Amazon Music. Forget Deezer, Amazon Music, right? So you got 4.
Yeah.
See them like an agency. So Spotify's at the bottom. So Spotify give you the lowest rate, and the others do a higher rate.
Yeah.
But like, if you worked in an agency, some agencies don't give you any work.
Right.
Spotify are the ones that, if I ask around people put Spotify, like if you ask like Ron Johnson and stuff, like there's a lot more success stories on Spotify. So you might not be making millions, but you could quite easily be making $1,000 a month or 400, 500 a month.
Yeah.
When you look at those numbers, why I obviously like Dream Big, that's close to 3 million streams. When I look on Amazon Music, it's probably about 10.
Yeah.
10, not even 10,000 or whatever. It's like 10, like 100 streams.
Yeah.
Tidal's probably the same. It's 10,000 on Apple Music.
Oh, okay. Apple Music's doing all right then.
Yeah, but it's basically Spotify. They've got Discover Weekly.
Yep.
They've got all of these different like playlists and algorithms that will stream and introduce you to new people. Apple Music, basically they've got like the radio plays. So when you look at like, I don't know, the top 40 like albums or like hip hop or whatever, again they're championing people that already signed to major record labels.
Yeah, I see.
So basically it's like, if I go on Apple Music and I look for you, I need to have already been introduced to you to be able to stream your music and look.
I see.
This is what I do for everybody.
So make it really difficult for you to
because
like
they don't introduce you. They're not saying, "Oh, well, you like
blah.
I don't know, De La Soul or whatever." Here's ExP.
Yeah.
On Spotify, they do.
Yeah, that's true.
But if I go to Tidal or whatever, they're not going to do it.
Not so
Sometimes I'll find you and your name's not credited properly.
Yeah.
I've seen stuff like that.
Oh,
and
mate,
I
think there's definitely some streaming sites where I've looked and I'm like, that isn't even my music. But there'll be another ExP and it's just mushed it together. But there's so few people.
Yeah.
Whereas, as you say, Spotify and maybe Apple Music as well is the place where everyone is. So they're the ones you have to concentrate on. It just seems like a real slog. And you can you can see why artists are so annoyed about it. And it's like, I'm sure, if you're making hip hop music or whatever, you don't necessarily want to go like, well, I want to make some beats I need to make some beats that are like perfect for chilling in the sun and I don't have any more bite to them than that. But it's like, actually, I want to put like my heart into this or whatever. But they're not going to do as well necessarily.
My argument is, why can we not, instead of Spotify raising like their streaming royalties up, why can Apple Music not have a submission? Why? I mean, Amazon have, but I've not seen many people.
When you say submission,
so basically, like on Spotify, you can submit your music, like they say, like give it like a month.
Oh, I see. For editors playlist now.
Yeah. Basically, when I've researched like Amazon Music, Apple Music, like Tidal, how people are making their music money on that. It's just advertising. You're spending thousands on advertising on Facebook, Instagram, just to make it back on these other places.
Right.
It's either that or you're paying somebody to market to actually pitch to an Apple. This is why if I don't know, if it's like chill, I don't know, like Chill Spot or something like that, like, independent like labels.
Yep.
If you can get some of your music like pushed through them, they've got relationships with like obviously some of these like playlisters on different platforms. Yep. So they'll try and pitch your music to them and actually say, all right, can we get your music played on these playlists? Stuff
starts catching fire as a result. Kind of thing.
So basically it's like if Apple Music, Tidal, Amazon were doing more, and I know Amazon have actually got a submission like slot.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were getting the equivalent of 1 million streams on Apple and then the equivalent of 1 million streams on Tidal and the equivalent of 1 million streams on Amazon.
Mad.
You could quadruple your money or at least like get you know what I mean? Like double like your income.
Yep.
And then that's fairer because the way that it's been pitched against like Spotify, imagine if Daniel X just says, sod this. I'm just gonna create a different kind of thing. I don't know, like a gaming platform or whatever. Yep. Spotify, like see you later. What happens to us as grassroots? This is the thing. Because I've seen like what's happened with like Ron Johnson, like shout out to him, and Chill Smith as well.
What happened to them guys? Do you mean?
Just basically like how they've like just I guess got serious with their streaming and the music and actually like pitched their music to third-party playlisters. Got within kind of like the beats culture kind of community. Got more gigs, got recognition in other places, got the music being streamed in other places.
There's always a hustle, isn't there? There's always a hustle that'll help to.
But it's putting in the work. It's not. It's like if it's any other thing, like again, if you were selling cupcakes or lemonade or whatever, you'd price it up, wouldn't you? And say, right, okay, where's my margins coming? Like, what do they like it in? What's do you know what I mean? Like, how am I going to package it? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you wanted to make it go further, where are you going to put your stall? Do you know what I mean? Kind of a thing. It's the same with hip hop. If you put it out on vinyl, at least know that how you're going to get that money back. If it means that you're going to bring like 10 down with you to a show and try and sell them after the show, you know that you put on the best performance you can. Do you know what I mean? And then say, oh, come and speak to me afterwards. Do you know what I mean? Like, I got some records, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
It's knowing that if you're going to press those vinyls, you know how you're going to make your money back. Mm-hmm. Because there's so many people, there's so many people that have got like records piling up and stuff like that. And it's just like, did somebody at least ask you, did you price it up? Where are you going to sell it before you did it?
I get it.
And like that's all that I try to do.
Streaming allows you to do that for free, which is great. You know what I mean? There's no money up front apart from your yearly whatever to put it on distribution or whatever. But other than that, it's like you can just put it out there and suck it and see. And you could do all that work. So there will be artists out there who have just put music out for very little and then worked hard to get them on the playlist. And yourself's probably not a pretty good example of that. Worked hard to get playlisted and seen some success. You know what I mean?
Because it's short term, long term, and it's just like what I'm trying to do here is just basically drop some nuggets and stuff for people that are listening and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just the short term, long term, because you can start off within like basically. Let's fast forward.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward to like say like 2015, 2016. In fact, 2017.
Yeah.
I went down to this thing called the Beat Forum, like I think it was like London Producer Forum or something like that. Producer Forum in London, and basically I remember. Because I was doing one of my final final pieces for my degree and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was to do with like record label. And I remember I was down in London. I was like chilling with some guys and stuff. We're all making beats together and stuff. We're all like interacting and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember just talking to these guys, and like they were only making beats for about a year, and they were like 18. Like, so it was just like younglings, like just making beats and stuff, and they were like showing me like how lo-fi works and stuff, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I've got like 18,000 followers and stuff like that, and like I just made this beat and I submitted it and stuff." And I was just like literally, it was just like
straight ahead.
These guys, they're just making the beats, just having fun. They were putting it out.
Yeah, and it was getting
it was just like
to.
getting streams and streams and streams. Like they didn't know anything about marketing or anything like that.
Yep.
And it just made me research like the whole scene, because obviously I took that what they were doing and then researched the whole lo-fi like label, lo-fi like hip hop thing, and like just like the beat culture and stuff. I researched basically like there was like Survey Monkey, so it was just like like basically just like surveys of like how much people are spending money on like hip hop and stuff, and like like the demographic, how old they are, like where do they live, like what's their preferred like platform.
You've really understood the inside and outside of this.
It's like you're not gonna get your grade if you haven't done the research and stuff. But it's like everything that I was doing, I'm doing it, but then I'm like, with all this research and everything that I'm doing, I'm going to have my own label. I'm going to put my own stuff and do that. So what I did was, I had Moving Forward. So it's Moving Forward. That was my beat tape at the time that I just put out when I graduated, and I put that on Bandcamp. Yep. And I remember I was just like, right, I'm going to take a few of those songs and I'm going to put that on to the streaming, so Spotify and Apple and that. And I basically said, on social media, I said, I basically asked which were your favourite songs off of that, which were your 3 or 4 favourite songs of the Moving Forward like beat tape. Right. And people were like, Dream Big, and there was a few others. So I was just like, right, I'm just going to have those 3 songs, put it out on the EP, and it was Dream Big was the song that got caught up, that basically the editorial playlist.
Would you have done that without the survey?
Probably not. But this is the thing of, you learn that like the artists will ask their like fans, like they will communicate as their like which person like what's what song, because it's the thing is like you want to have some sort of interaction. You want to be able to say, right, okay, like it's not an echo chamber with your mates or whatever. Yeah. It's people that are actually listening or buying your stuff or playing it on radio or whatever, some sort of feedback so that you understand like which songs. It's kind of like, it's basically like the whole beat tape culture thing. Like I could say to you, maybe sometimes by Daddy Speedo, I was in the studio with him, and basically I had all of these beats. Like he recorded, like
the one he sang over.
Yeah, but it's literally, that wasn't even like a hip hop song. That was just something that I was experimenting with.
Beautiful piece of music, though.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah. Shout out to Daddy Speedo. But it's just one of these things where basically just like Speedo found one beat, freestyled over it, then it's just like, what else have you got? So I just played him all these tunes, and it was just like, oh, what's this one over here? I was just like, oh, it's just a beat. It's just like, let's hear it. And it's just like, oh, this sounds like interesting. And then he just started freestyling. Like, so he had some of the words there.
Yeah,
he was just literally freestyling over it. And I was just like, what the heck? Like, if I chose that song for him.
Yeah.
No, if I was choosing a song for him, it wasn't that.
Yeah, of course.
And this is the whole thing about like creating stuff or like having like enough content for people to kind of listen.
Yeah.
And be like, right, okay, do you know what? If I had to choose something, I'd be choosing this, I'd be choosing that, I'd be choosing this. I don't know why Dream Big is so big over some of the other stuff that I did, but that's the whole thing. It
resonates with people for some reason or another. Like, I've got a similar situation with stuff I've put out, and there's stuff that's just blown up more than others, and you're just like, why is it that one?
Yeah.
But you can't argue with it.
Yeah.
You have to just lean into it a bit.
Yeah.
You just go, yeah, this one. Literally playing it at the end of gigs and that.
Yeah. Because it's psychology of music, and like the more you like research things, and the more, I guess, you take yourself out of it and be kind of like a connoisseur or like critique your stuff.
Yeah.
It helps you as an artist. It helps you as an artist and be like, right, where do you want to go with this?
Yeah.
And it's good. Just I call it people watching. I people watch within like hip hop and stuff.
Yeah.
And I am a critique about stuff. And it's funny, like let's say for instance, like what's his face, Andre 3000.
Yeah.
When he dropped the Flute album thing.
Yeah.
I think Elzai dropped something like maybe like he had some like a song out more or less the same time, and I am a massive fan of Elzai.
Yeah,
I'm not the biggest fan of Andre 3000, but I respect him and Outkast as the music and stuff like that. Yeah. But obviously, I'm East Coast hip hop boom bap.
Big Boy was my favorite rapper.
But it was the fact that people were like going crazy over this album. It was just like I listened to it. I was just like, it's flute music. It's the kind of stuff that, and I think it's clever because you could put that out and somebody could, that's the sort of music that people might study to or just chill out.
Good news for Jammer Tony, bro. When he put that out, we're like, yo, we're actually on this vibe a bit.
Yeah. But it's like, as a hip hop thing, it's like, because everybody is just making so much of a noise of it, everybody else that's got like a really schedule around there is getting overlooked. Yeah. So like, real hip hop stuff, because it's not a hip hop album, it's a flute thing. I know for what it is. And it is what it is, you know what I mean? It is good for what it is.
Yeah.
It's like everybody else was getting overlooked because everybody just thought Andre 3000, there's a hype over it.
Yeah.
And everything else, like, I don't know, Juggernaut could have put an album out. You might have put an album out. And it was just like,
no one's listening to that.
Yeah, nobody's listening because all the hype's on this for this week or whatever. Yeah. So it's for me, it's like, sometimes release schedules, but also how people react to certain things. Sometimes
people are always talking about Kendrick or whatever, and it's like, why are we talking about that stuff when there's so much good stuff here? And why aren't we bringing up stuff in Leeds and Bradford? But we're always like, it's always that basic sort of big picture in it that you're being fed. It's like they're in the papers, so we're talking about them, and it's just like, really.
This is why we have to champion our own. This is why I'm thankful for this platform. I'm thankful for like Blade's platform as well.
Yeah.
That he's got.
He's working really hard on that.
Yeah. Because it's literally just like, we need more, again, this ecosystem thing. We need more of a platform. We need people like Dan Dorker, do you know what I mean? Like, people being able to hit him up on like Hyro and like Monks to say, right, okay, cool, like we need some artwork.
Yeah.
Like who we're gonna who we're gonna go to for artwork and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the time, because it's like DIY, people haven't got the budget
of course,
for it. But if you did have the budget, who are you gonna go for? Kind of a thing. So that we have, like I said, this ecosystem, like.
Speaking of ecosystems, and just sort of going back to what I said right at the start, you're kind of the ecosystem of Leeds from a production point of view. Like, what is it?
Inside now.
Has it become us? Like, loads of, obviously you make sick beats and people have like put you on, or is it people introducing, or has it been you going, oh, I want to work with X, Y, and Z, so you've sent them a few beats? How have you ended up producing for so many people?
Here we go again. Well, basically,
here I go again.
because I want to champion and help people. I guess this is where the agent. Everybody asks me what the M means, but the agent is probably like who I am. as a person of just trying to help people and just leaving a legacy.
Yeah.
Because it's something that my mum and dad did as a community spirit of just being in the community and helping people in the community. I guess it's kind of like a a West Indian kind of a thing.
Yeah.
The community that I grew up in, we all try to help each other.
Hospitable, welcoming.
Yeah, and just dinner. Like, help each other out and stuff. And hip hop as well. Hip hop was like, for what, growing up with monks, and like everybody around us, Paul, like Tommy, Bravo, it's that thing of we came together to help each other because we knew together we can actually put music out, we can actually do something, as opposed to everybody being like, have our own zones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So basically, to answer the question, it's kind of like, I remember I started making beats and shopping beats to people. And I guess I call it ratios. So it was kind of like maybe like 2 beats out of 5 were all right. And you kind of want to get to 5 out of 5 kind of a thing.
It's never going to happen.
But it's kind of like at one point, I couldn't buy a a rapper to come and rap over my stuff.
Really?
It was only people like, again, Marcus, that was kind of like, oh yeah, I like this idea or whatever.
Yeah,
but everybody else,
not feeling it.
Nothing was happening.
Okay.
So it was kind of like, basically there was like 2 guys. There was Stu and there was Michael. Stu is in London and Michael was in Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
We created this like label called Future Sound Music. So it's kind of like putting out beat tapes on Bandcamp.
Right.
So that's kind of how I started. But it was the whole thing of, if I can't have an MC on my tracks, I'll just push these beats.
Yeah.
Because there's a market for it. SoundCloud showed me that people were listening to my beats, drinking a glass of wine or doing whatever, chilling on a Friday night.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. It was just literally just pour my emotions out onto these beats.
Yeah.
Put together some concepts to it. So sometimes I put spoken word or like little snippets or something in there.
Yeah.
So like concept beat tapes and stuff.
Yeah.
And literally it was just like people were like messaging me and stuff like that or whatever. And it was like Stu was really good because he'd get blogs and like radio stations to play the stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was just up to me to be like, I've got my this album or this song played on this radio station, or I've got this song on this YouTube video or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? People outside of the community will play my stuff.
Yeah.
Giving you kind of like social proofing or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like recognition.
So the rappers come later.
Yeah, because people started to see, well, hold on, he's making it outside of this circle. He's like people from Germany or people from America or whatever. Like I got like American rapper like rap over my stuff. You know, I had like.
Are you saying then people weren't feeling your beats until everyone was feeling your beats, and then rappers were like, better get on H&M stuff.
Again, when it comes to marketing, like this whole thing of dropping your like links in people's DMs and stuff, and like putting it on your Facebook page.
Yeah.
Not your Facebook page, but you know what I mean. Like build your Facebook page for your brand and stuff.
Yeah.
But like don't drop it in other people's Facebook pages, because it's kind of like when you do to start out, it's kind of like your sponsor form. You're getting your mum and your sister and your auntie and your best mate to kind of like check your stuff, and they're just doing it just for you.
Of course.
The main thing that you need to do to build your brand is to say where are your followers?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Taylor Swift thing. Taylor Swift has her Swifties, her super fans, but the super fans will buy the stuff.
Yeah, of course.
They will turn up to your shows.
They'll buy
so
it.
you look
she
after your
spits in
stuff.
a jar and sends it. They'll buy it.
So when people are eating that up, you like give them more of what they want. Find out what they want and give them more of it, because they're aligning with your whole like ethos of who you are. You're giving a piece of yourself. They're loving that. They're loving who you are.
Yeah.
And it's kind of right. Okay, this is my tribe. So I'm going to give more. I'm going to speak to my tribe. I'm going to give more to my tribe. I'm not trying to hit somebody else's tribe or be anybody else.
Yeah.
You're being yourself. That's part of being hip hop. So people have started to find out, hold on, DJ AJM's doing this. He's like, he's on, it's like I'll Google his name and this blog comes up or this comes up or whatever.
So it was hype. It was hype all along.
Search engine optimization is it's making sure that like if somebody Googles your name, this blog's coming up or this coming up, your music's all over the place. And basically what happened then is tying the DJing thing up was like, why if I'm with Bravo, am I standing over here when I could be on stage with Bravo? So when it came to the Uncanny thing, going back to this whole thing, I looked at like Jazz T and some of these other like DJs and stuff and be like, this is who I need to be now. I need to master this whole scratching thing. I need to master the whole transitions thing. Do you know what I mean? And I'm no longer having to play other people's instrumentals. I'm playing my own instrumentals.
Yeah, amazing.
And then what you found was, like, even if I was just warming up like for a gig and I'm not getting paid, I'm dropping my beats and dropping everything. Yeah. Because you might be in the room, like another like hip hop gigs are full with like rappers and musicians and stuff. Yep. And literally, like, if I'm doing a cypher or I'm playing a beat, I'm playing to the whole like hip hop community.
You are, yeah.
So it's like, why am I playing like other people's stuff when I could be playing my own stuff? Well, you need to be able to back yourself.
Yeah, fully.
Tenton was somebody that told me about that. He basically told me off and basically said like, why are you not playing your own stuff like at Unity festivals and stuff?
Yeah, it's right.
He basically had to have that confidence to be able to say, right, okay, when I'm DJing, I'll play my own stuff, but then even better, when I'm on stage, we're part of a band. So the whole Uncanny thing as a performance became us as Uncanny as a band. So whoever could turn up, so say if it's Bravo wasn't there, you still had Speedo, you had Lara. Yeah. And literally they'll just freestyle the whole thing. Tommy would freestyle the whole thing. Nice. And people were just like, you pre-rehearse it. It was just like, this is hip-hop.
We're like, making it as we go.
I'm like the MD music director kind of like in between the orchestrator and saying, look, we've got 15 minutes to spare. I'm going to do a little freestyle thing into this and then we'll move back into
And you know I love that improv stuff, man. That's how magic happens in that situation, doesn't it?
So it's you as a DJ reading the crowd and being like, oh, they love more of this. Like, I'll pull out this beat because it's like you've got like the Spotify algorithm in your head. So you drop a beat. Like even if like, you're just doing a night and you're dropping beats, you're looking to see how people react to your beats. So then you go home and you're just like, oh, I'm going to make 10 more of those. Yeah. And then next time I'm coming out, I'm doing that. Or even if I went to like your show or I went to like Defender the Style or like a Bravo show or Oliver Reeds or whoever, like a Chillsmith or whatever, there'd be times where I'm inspired to make beats. It's still going to sound like mine, but it's just a different way.
Yeah, I get that. What do you, in terms of like working with rappers though, like, so you've just mentioned Oliver Reese there, and I only realised the other day that you've got a whole project together, you guys. How did something like that come about? Have you just hollered him because you think, oh, he's dope and he needs some beats, let's send him some stuff, or is it more that it just sort of happened naturally and he came to you or whatever? Or
this is a story because I mean it's kind of like Quentin Tarantino, the whole like backstory history and stuff. So we're going back and forth, but like in that whole thing of me graduating from music business from Leeds College of Music, it was just a whole thing of like trying to find a job. So I remember I was working in a primary school, and it was just like, to be fair, it was just that whole thing of like people that intern were the people that were getting music jobs and stuff like that. But I'm too old.
Because you were shaking hands with people. But
so basically it was just like I'm too old to like just up sticks and go down to London and stuff like that. I'll just try and make it big. So it's trying to get as much like music industry stuff work as you could. So shout out to Aaron Casserly Stewart. Basically, he's like Mr. like everything, but I owe him so much because he hollered me on Facebook and basically was just like, I'm moving up to Sheffield. I'm working with Leeds Conservatoire. I've got some artists and stuff. I want to meet up with you. I want to work with you. Right. He was the one who said, I've got a rapper that I'm managing, Oliver Reese. I've got so he's like in Leeds, and he's got another rapper called Intensive. Shout out to Intensive. I want you to work with them, like produce an EP for them.
Wow! So that was put together by like his management, his agent,
and like he like stand-up guy. Like everything that he said he'd do is done. basically he did that, but then he basically, and this is where this whole streaming thing comes in as well, because basically he was just like, he found me through like all the music stuff that I was doing, so it's the SEO kind of thing. But then it's basically me producing for his artists, and then that obviously gave them a platform.
I see.
Not saying that Oliver Rees was always like, he was always like talented, but it was just that thing of, that was a project then that started getting not streaming, like radio recognition and stuff like that. So it was part of that. But then like he started, like Aaron basically, he basically got me working with other artists. So these were artists that were like musicians for other artists. So like Matt Hoy, he was in UB40.
Okay.
And you got others.
All because you had your SEO down, you had your business was tight, you'd done your research, and that's how those things came together. Literally what you were saying before.
Find your name, and then the research, you'd like drop your names in different things to see all these things that
a massive
you're doing happening.
Come along, and after all that work, for you to be like, well, damn right.
Yeah, because so basically, it's basically just like people vouching for you. He vouched for me, and obviously now I'm working for Water Bear in Sheffield. But obviously interning for him, so obviously working for his artists that he was managing, just meant that like when other opportunities came, like like he was there. So obviously like the publishing deal and stuff like that, he brought me in. It was the fact that like Intensive was on like Dr. Dre's like in Dr. Dre's like
Circle
range. I arranged basically for one of his producers, Eric Riggs. So it's just little things like that. It's like that's your foot into the industry.
Mate, 100%. And it's usually just a handshake, the right handshake that'll be the line in or whatever.
So the whole Oliver Rees thing was like through like Aaron basically.
There was a fire project as well when I sat down and listened to it. I was like, I didn't even know this had happened, man. Just in closing then, bro, I wanted to kind of talk to you about the future really of and what you got planned, because obviously you're moving in with your good lady who you're just about to marry, and you have a studio space. So what do the next couple of years look like for you? Are you just continuing to work with Water Bear and do those kind of things, and have you got aspirations for I want to have achieved X, Y, and Z?
I mean it's a continuation basically. I think for me it's supporting the community as much as possible and giving back. It's always going to be giving back to the next generation. So obviously shout DJ School as well, because I work for DJ School.
Word.
So this is about, part of hip hop is like the knowledge element of it is just passing that knowledge down to the next generation. So when it comes to DJing, it's teaching a whole new generation. I love teaching like girls DJing as well, because it's literally just like it's that minority kind of a thing where it's kind of like people are just, it's just been like the excellent side of things. Like people can't say anything to you as a female DJ when you've got skills. You can use the sync button, but you know how to not use the sync button. So like the whole thing with Grimes at Coachella is like a teachable moment kind of a thing to say, right, okay, this is what happens when you use the sync button, but you don't know like how to listen to you, or like how to, just how to like deal with when things go wrong. You're over prepared for things and stuff like that. But for me, it's always gonna be like teaching people, but it is the same of just probably getting back onto the road of like producing and stuff. But at the same time, because I teach production and that music industry, it's kind of make me like honed me as a producer as well. So it's kind of like
your beats are tighter than ever. Every time you put something out, I'm like,
thanks.
You know what I mean?
But it's pushing it to that other level of being like, right, okay, do you know what? I can when I want to. Like throw the whole kitchen thing at music and stuff, but I never do, because it can become too easy just to like do the basics, do this for like this producer or whatever, and not necessarily push yourself.
Can take the joy out of it a little bit, I suppose, if you're like, oh, it's got to be like this, and maybe I'll add this. Whereas just like feeling it is an enjoyable process though as well.
Yeah, and just like if I listen to some of my old stuff, like I did throw the kitchen sink at it because it was literally just like going through a relationship breakup or like a family member's like passed away or whatever.
Yeah.
Or it's just like the whole work or like whatever kind of situation. Do you know what I mean? There's a leak in my roof or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's all of those crazy things that happen in your life, and it's like you put all that into your music. Like I remember some of the songs that I made, and it was literally just like, do you know what? I remember like emotionally and mentally where I was in that place. But it's all in that music. Like it's literally just like everything you do, whether it's just like filtering in and out or whatever. It was just you were making beautiful music.
Yeah.
For the sake of the art of beautiful music and stuff. And like sometimes it's just like I want to go back to those days. I don't want the heartache and the troubles or like, do you know what I mean? The ups and downs.
Yeah.
But it's just putting all of that emotion in and be like, I made a piece of art. I'm not making it for streaming. I'm making it because somebody else that's going through that same thing listens to that song, connects with that whole emotion thing, and they get healing from it.
Yeah.
And the whole thing of people actually send me messages and saying, you know what, this song made my day today. And that's the whole reason for me is making art.
Doing it, yeah?
Yeah.
Ah, it's a beautiful sentiment.
So yeah, like for me, it's just getting back to doing stuff like that, but also be like the best producer I can be on, like the best performer as well, like being able to take what you do and being able to perform it into a live audience. So even like jamming with you guys, Jam and Tony, it's been brilliant. Like I remember I've messaged my missus sometimes and be like, oh, do you know what? It's just like great being in the band and being able to like finger drum and like do all these other stuff and
just
like
improvise
jam.
and just to feel it at the time. That's what I love the most about
because
it.
It's just being it's that whole kind of like progression from just like, because people say, oh, do you play an instrument? And I'm just like, I do enough to compose.
Yeah.
But like live is different. But like when you can finger drum, like when you can actually just like, you know, trigger samples and stuff like that.
You are playing an instrument.
Live,
you're playing the samples, innit? At that point, it's beautiful.
Doing all that stuff with like Daddy Abe and stuff like that live is like people love it. Like people love like that extra bit that you put as a DJ / producer to that whole performance, like ad libs and you know all of that stuff. It elevates the show. Like. And again, it's kind of like, why do people go to see Taylor Swift? Like,
because they've been told to.
They're paying the money for a show, an experience, and it's kind of like, you know, this is the thing of like watching like De La Soul perform and stuff. And like every time you see De La Soul perform, they're giving you something. And it's like, can we do that as Leeds hip hop guys? Give them more than just MCs and DJs.
Just rapping and looking down or whatever, or finger drumming and not paying attention. Or
giving them a bit where it's just like, oh, do you know what? I could have been at home like watching The Only Ways to Essex or whatever, but I actually turned up and I got a performance. I'll tell you, like one of the best performances I ever seen was Sampa the Great.
Oh yeah,
my friend Vicky, she was just like, oh, I've got a spare ticket. Do you want to come? Remember, I was just like, oh, I've just been on a date and I've been dumped or whatever. I don't, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go out or whatever. But it was literally just like, she was just like, yeah, I got, you know, she was just like, it's a night out, like, it's a free ticket. Like, she's really good. Like, you need to check her out.
Yep.
I remember I came and her whole presence, like, she's like, I don't know, like 5'3" or whatever, but she might as well be like 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
The way that she like commanding that mic, like never heard her before, but I never forgot her after that.
Yeah.
It was literally just like that whole thing where she had the whole crowd in her hands.
Yeah.
It was that kind of a thing where it's like, we need more of that.
We need to be aspiring for that kind of stuff around here, around these parts.
Yeah, because then you're rewarded for actually coming out.
And
then like 3 years later, you're seeing her everywhere, and you'd be like, I saw her first before anybody else.
Blowing up,
But that, as a producer, as an artist, being like, how can I do that? How can I wow people to the point where they're gonna Google you? They're gonna check you out, like, and all they have to do is type your name into the search engine. And then you've got everything.
Yeah, the whole from
everything. Yeah.
Well, I feel confident about the future of Dubwire with you operating within it and like pushing other people forwards to get to that sort of level, man. So I just want to say thank you so much, DJ Agent, for joining us, man. You're an absolute legend, man.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for watching as well, guys.
Big up, man.
All right, cheers, man. Yeah.
So that was DJ Agent. Go and check his stuff if you've never heard of him. What are you doing? But I'm sure most people who are listening to this are like, yeah, sure, I've heard him. But yeah, literally after that, we hopped on a train and did a Jam a Tony Jam together as well with Jack Flash. Man, it was the Dub Y dream. Until next time, big up.